I don't care what you've been told, Dungeons & Dragons is only about combat. That's what the game was designed around. This newfangled BS about, oh, I like role-playing games. I want to role-play more than I want to do combat. You are right and wrong. A role-playing game is exactly what you want it to be. However, there are some ways to encourage role-playing to create more dynamic storytelling and still be combat-focused. I am a combat-focused DM who happens to love role-playing. So let's get right on into it. How can you have both combat and roleplay at the same time and equally give those characters benefit? So not just one person's having fun. Let's talk about it. As a dungeon master, if you want to encourage your table to roleplay, understand what roleplay means to you. This is the first thing that none of us really think about. We think that, oh, role-playing means Matt Mercer style gameplay where we talk in character and we use voices and mannerisms to actually be our characters. I play a crappy bard. It's always what I played. No, that's not true at all. In fact, I've only played a bard once in my life. But the bottom line is that being gregarious and actually creating a character and being that character, that's acting. That's not role-playing. Well, maybe not for me. Role-playing, to me, is when we play as our characters. And I don't care as you as a person say, you know what? Bilbo decides to run in and grab the candle off the table and run out, causing the room to go dark. That's role-playing. You're telling me what your character is doing. And you're doing it because that's what your character would do. They're trying to stop a situation. They're trying to make the room go dark so that way the bard can escape because the bard's in a bad situation. They gave him the wink. That's role-playing to me. At the same time is that we are fighting and the wizard's about to go down and I, as the fighter, step in, shoving them out of the way, taking attack of opportunity. That is not tactically correct, but it's what my character would do. He'd protect his friend. That's role-playing. As a bard, I slide under the basilisk, shooting up with one crossbow and stabbing it in its butt. It's a theatrical way of saying I attack the basilisk. Role-playing is telling me what your character would do and you figuring out how that character would be. That's role-playing, at least to me. Everyone can do that differently. You can be in character if you want. You can use voices if you want. I like to try to use voices a lot of times. I'll use all sorts of different voices from time to time in any way that I see to try to make myself feel different. This is how I roleplay. I get into character by changing my posture, changing my demeanor, changing the temper and the parameter of my tone. It's not just about voice. It's about how I speak. How thoughtful am I when I'm playing a wizard? That is something that helps me get into my character, to see the character by pretending to be them. Some of you may do that. Some of you may not have the capability, but you may have the desire. Practice. At home, in the mirror, with your friends, at the table, and be prepared to be laughed at. Because it's not that we're laughing at you. Well, we might be. We're trying to laugh with you, though. We're trying to encourage you to do it more. And if you don't have a table that does that, you could be at the wrong table. And we can talk about toxic tables and all that malarkey later. But right now, what we're talking about is role-playing. Role-playing is about you being in your character's head, doing what your character would do, and enjoying that. Whether you're giving a third-party description or being that character and acting like the character. Those are all different ways of achieving role-playing. Now, as a dungeon master, how do you encourage this? Put them in scenarios. Ask them to describe what they do. Oh, you are trying to make the room go dark? How do you do that? You're attacking the basilisk? How do you attack the basilisk? You'll be amazed by, as a dungeon master, simply asking, how do you do that, encourages them. Now, some players are using the dice to help them role play. And so this is one of those scenarios where if someone says, I seduced the king, and they say, how do you do that? You say, I don't know. They're like, okay, roll me a dice. Oh, you got a natural 20. What do you say? Why don't you and I get out of here? Absolutely. And it works. Right? Then that creates an even different type of role-playing. As the player, I don't know how to be seductive. I don't know how to be charismatic, but my character does. So I use the dice to create the scenario. And then it's fun because no matter what I say, we know whether we have a success or pass. So even if I say something dumb, it's still successful. And then everyone's like, how did he do that? He's truly charismatic. That's the fun part, is we can both use the dice and we can use us to help create those role-playing experiences. Remember, sometimes the players are trying to be someone they're not. Sometimes the players are trying to be someone they are. Sometimes the players are trying to explore something. But you'll notice something. I said players, not characters. As long as the players are exploring their character and their motivations of their character, whether it's through voices, whether it's through actions, whether it's through anything, That, in my opinion, is the definition of role-playing. And as a dungeon master, I encourage that by asking more questions. We like to tell people what to do as a dungeon master. This is the scenario. This is what's happening. The world is coming to an end. The ceiling is caving down upon you. What do you do? I grab the portcullis and I lift it up. How do you do that? I grab each rung at the bottom and I take all my might to lift it up and I hold it above my head. That's role-playing in the simplest terms. Okay, roll the dice. You succeed. What do you do now? That's fun. But you have to remember something. I'm using theatrics. What about when it's not theatrics? Then it's just the person telling you, oh, I lifted above my head. Okay, I scream at the party to get out of here before I can't hold it anymore. That's the same thing. And so to encourage that, you have to ask questions. How do you do that? Why do you do that? When do you do that? What happens next? When someone starts telling you their part of the story, they are role-playing. So I only have one piece of advice when it really comes to encouraging people to role-play in the simplest form. Ask more questions. You'll be amazed that by asking how, what, when, where, and how, and hi, and you get the drift, you're going to get a lot more answers. And you're going to get a lot more role-playing. And the person that's in the corner, asking them, what are you doing while all this is going on? You'll be surprised. So, as always, guys, what do you need to do? Like, subscribe, hit that button, comment below, do all the things to help us grow this channel. And stick around after this because we have some exciting news about Hero Soul, a new free version of Dungeons & Dragons. No, that can't be! Be part of our community. Help us out. We got a lot coming up. And I'm doing this all alone, so I need some help, peoples. Thank you. See you when? Next time. Welcome to Hero Soul. So what is Hero Soul? Hero Soul is a free version of D&D based upon the Creative Commons license that WotC actually gave to us. I was waiting for someone to come out with a free version of D&D or an alternative. And instead what I've got is a lot of very different games, a lot of very cool games when the whole OGL debacle. And WotC doing stupid stuff all the time, creating all sorts of calamity. I wanted to play Dungeons & Dragons, but I was tired of supporting WotC. So what have I done? I'm creating Hero Soul. We have a Patreon. Join our Patreon and be part of the process of the creation of this game. I'm not going to post a ton of stuff here on the YouTube channel about Hero Soul. I'm not. But what I am going to do is post a whole bunch of it on our Patreon. If you're a free member, be part of it. You will have access to Hero Soul. You'll get the PDFs as they're updated, as they get posted. You'll also have access to everything else. If you're a paid member, you're going to get behind the scenes videos and all that kind of stuff. The bottom line is, if you want a free version of Dungeons & Dragons that you can download for free, join Hero Soul and be part of the conversation. Don't like something that's in the rules? Speak your mind and let's have a conversation and see if we should change it or not. And in the end, you will download the free version of the PDF. And we're talking about a free, full version with monsters, new lore, new races, new ways of doing things, but all based upon the Creative Commons license. You can take Hero Soul and smack it right dab in 5th edition, and it will function just fine. So join us with our Patreon and Hero Soul and let your voice be heard in the creation. This is not a Kickstarter. I don't care. We will eventually have a printed book. We'll get there. But as a community, let's create this game together. Join us and let's start our journey with Hero Soul. I need some help. I'm by myself. I need people to do Discord. I need people to do all that kind of stuff. But right now, I swear to God, I just saw something behind that tree as it's getting dark out here. So I'm going to leave. Join us at the Patreon. Let's do some Hero Soul development. And let's have a free version of Dungeons & Dragons, which is owned by the community. See you then. As always, next time. Yay!